The acrid smell of gas hit Victor Sullivan's nostrils before anyone else noticed it. As parents scrambled to collect their children from Oak Ridge Elementary's after-school program, Victor's maintenance instincts kicked in, overriding the exhaustion from his double shift at the factory. "Everyone needs to evacuate, now." His voice carried a calm authority that belied the panic rising in his chest. He had spotted his 6-year-old daughter Lily among the children, her dark pigtails bobbing as she colored, oblivious to the danger. The school coordinator, Miss Winters, looked up from her desk with irritation. "Mr. Sullivan, we have procedures, gas leak," Victor interrupted, pointing to the utility room where the odor was strongest. "Get everyone out while I check it." Miss Winters' eyes widened, and she immediately triggered the fire alarm. The shrill sound sent children scurrying to their feet in confusion. Victor moved against the flow of evacuating bodies, his eyes locked on Lily. "Baby, go with Miss Winters. Daddy needs to fix something." "But my drawing," Lily protested, clutching her half-finished masterpiece. "Take it with you," Victor said, scooping her up and handing her to Miss Winters. "Please make sure she gets outside safely." As the building emptied, Victor turned toward the utility room. His work boots echoed in the suddenly silent hallway. The smell grew stronger, making his eyes water. The rational part of his brain screamed at him to leave with the others, but 20 years of fixing things first in the army, then in a series of jobs that barely kept a roof over their heads made retreat impossible. The utility room door was unlocked, thankfully. Inside, the gas meter was hissing audibly. Victor's trained eye spotted the problem immediately. A corroded connection had finally given way. He located the main shutoff valve and strained against it with all his strength. The valve was old, stubborn from disuse. "Come on, you bastard," Victor grunted, applying more pressure until finally, with a screech of metal, the valve turned. The hissing gradually subsided. Only then did he hear the footsteps. Turning, he saw a woman in an impeccably tailored suit standing in the doorway, her expression a mixture of concern and admiration. "The building should be evacuated, madam," Victor said automatically. "It is. I came back in when I saw you weren't coming out." Her voice was confident, commanding someone used to being obeyed. That was incredibly brave and stupid. Victor wiped his brow with his sleeve, just doing what needed to be done. The woman extended her hand. "I'm Emma Fitzgerald. My niece attends school here." "Victor Sullivan," he replied, suddenly conscious of the grease under his fingernails as he shook her hand. "My daughter Lily's in 1st grade. Well, Mr. Sullivan, you just saved a lot of lives, including my niece's." Her smile transformed her face from merely beautiful to breathtaking. "Thank you." Outside, fire trucks were arriving, their lights painting the playground in flashes of red. Victor stepped into the sunlight, immediately searching for Lily. She broke free from Miss Winters' side and raced toward him. "Daddy," she flung herself into his arms. "Did you fix it, Miss Winters said there was a bad gas that could make us sick." Victor lifted her, breathing in the scent of her strawberry shampoo to clear his lungs of the gas smell. "All fixed, princess. Nothing to worry about." Over Lily's shoulder, he spotted Emma speaking with firefighters, gesturing toward the building. She caught his eye and smiled again before returning to her conversation. "Who's that pretty lady?" Lily asked, following his gaze. "Just someone I met inside," Victor answered, setting her down. "Come on, let's go home. It's been a long day." As they walked to his ancient Ford pickup, held together more by Victor's mechanical skills than factory parts, a sleek black Lexus pulled alongside them. The window rolled down, revealing Emma's face. "Mr. Sullivan, I was hoping we could talk." "The school board will want a detailed account of what happened," she glanced at Lily. "And I'd like to thank you properly. Perhaps dinner," Victor hesitated. Between his day job at the factory, evening maintenance work, and caring for Lily, social invitations were rare. Especially from women who drove cars that cost more than he earned in a year. "That's very kind, Miss Fitzgerald, but Emma, please." "Emma, but I'm afraid I've got to get Lily home for dinner and homework." Emma looked thoughtful. "I understand. How about I send dinner to you both?" "I insist on thanking the hero of Oak Ridge Elementary." Before Victor could formulate a polite refusal, Lily piped up. "Can we have pizza? Daddy never lets us order pizza except on special days." Emma laughed, a sound that seemed to brighten the parking lot. Pizza sounds perfect. Is that okay with you, Mr. Sullivan? Faced with his daughter's hopeful expression, Victor surrendered. Victor, please, and yes, that would be nice. Thank you. After exchanging information, Victor drove home to their small apartment above Mrs. Hernandez's garage. The elderly landlady had a soft spot for Lily and often watched her when Victor's shifts overlapped. The arrangement wasn't ideal, but it was the best he could manage since Jenny, his wife, had died from cancer 3 years ago. True to her word, Emma arranged for pizza delivery that evening, not from the chain restaurant Victor occasionally splurged on, but from an upscale Italian place he'd never have considered. Along with the food came a note. Heroes deserve the best. Would love to hear more about how you knew what to do, Emma. She writes pretty, Lily observed, peering at the elegant handwriting. Is she your girlfriend now? Victor nearly choked on his pizza. No, sweetheart, she's just being nice because I helped at school today. Mom would like her, Lily said matter-of-factly, selecting another slice. She always said you needed someone to make you smile more. Out of the mouths of babes, Victor thought, surprised by the pang in his chest. It had been so long since he'd thought about dating that the concept seemed almost foreign. The next morning, Victor dropped Lily at school before heading to his shift at Camden Manufacturing. He was surprised to find Emma waiting in the parking lot, looking impossibly fresh and poised despite the early hour. Good morning, she greeted them. I hope the pizza was satisfactory. It was the best ever, Lily declared before Victor could answer. Even better than Daddy's homemade pizza, but don't tell him I said that, Emma laughed. Your secret's safe with me. She looked at Victor. I wanted to let you know that the school board is incredibly grateful. They're holding an emergency meeting today to address the gas leak issue. I'm glad they're taking it seriously. That system needed maintenance years ago. Victor checked his watch. I'm sorry, but I need to get to work. Where do you work? Emma asked. Camden Manufacturing during the day. I do maintenance work evenings and weekends. Emma nodded, something unreadable crossing her expression. Don't let me keep you then, but I would still like to thank you properly. Dinner perhaps, just the adults this time. Victor hesitated again, but Lily tugged at his hand. Say yes, Daddy, Mrs. Hernandez says she can teach me to make empanadas on Friday. Trapped by his daughter's enthusiasm, Victor found himself agreeing to dinner that Friday evening. As he drove to work, he couldn't shake the feeling that his carefully controlled life was about to change. The Camden manufacturing plant was a sprawling complex that employed half the town. Victor worked on the assembly line, a job that paid the bills but did little to challenge his skills. His supervisor, Frank, greeted him with a gruff nod. Sullivan, heard you played hero yesterday at the elementary school. News traveled fast in small towns. Just did what anyone would do, Frank snorted. Not anyone. Most people would have run like hell. Speaking of which, Wallace wants to see you in his office. Victor frowned. Wallace was the plant manager, someone he rarely interacted with. Being summoned usually meant trouble. In the manager's office, Victor was surprised to find not only Wallace but a familiar face, Emma Fitzgerald, looking every inch the executive in a different power suit than yesterday. Sullivan, this is Emma Fitzgerald, CEO of Fitzgerald Industries, Wallace said, his tone unusually respectful. Victor blinked in surprise. Fitzgerald Industries was the parent company that had acquired Camden Manufacturing last year. He'd had no idea the woman he'd met was that Emma Fitzgerald. We've met, Emma said smoothly. Mr. Sullivan prevented a potential disaster at my niece's school yesterday. Wallace looked between them, clearly recalibrating something in his mind. Well, that's fortunate, miss. Fitzgerald is here to discuss some operational changes, and she specifically asked to speak with you. The meeting that followed was surreal. Emma outlined plans for modernizing the plant, including a new maintenance division focused on preventative care rather than just repairs. She described the position in detail, then looked directly at Victor. We need someone with practical experience and problem-solving skills to head this division. Your actions yesterday demonstrated exactly the kind of initiative and expertise we're looking for. Victor struggled to process what she was saying. Are you offering me a job, a promotion? Emma clarified. with a significant salary increase and regular hours, no more evening shifts or weekend work. The offer was almost too good to be true. Regular hours meant more time with Lily. The salary increase meant perhaps moving out of the garage apartment into a real house, but doubt crept in. With all due respect, Miss Fitzgerald, is this offer related to what happened yesterday? Because if so, it's related only in that yesterday showed me what your current supervisors clearly missed, that you're overqualified for your position. Emma's tone was professional but warm. Your personnel file shows military training in systems maintenance, an associate's degree in mechanical engineering, and consistent positive performance reviews. Yet you're working an assembly line. That's a waste of talent. Victor felt a flush of pride, quickly tempered by practicality. I appreciate the opportunity, but I'd need to think about it. Changes in schedule affect my daughter. Of course. Emma handed him a folder. Review the details. We can discuss it further at dinner on Friday. As she left, Wallace stared at Victor with new respect. Whatever you did at that school, Sullivan, you made quite an impression. The rest of the week passed in a blur. Victor reviewed the job offer repeatedly, discussed it with Mrs. Hernandez, who enthusiastically approved, and even called his former Army buddy Jake for advice. Take the damn job, Jake said bluntly. And maybe ask the hot CEO out while you're at it. She's my boss, or would be. Details. When was the last time you even went on a date? Victor couldn't remember, which was answer enough. Friday evening arrived, and Victor found himself more nervous than he'd been in years. He dug out his only suit worn to Jenny's funeral, and not since, and was dismayed to find it slightly too large. The years of physical work and grief had trimmed him down. Mrs. Hernandez had taken one look at him and disappeared into her apartment, returning with a measuring tape and sewing kit. My Carlos was your size before he passed. I alter for you, quick. An hour later, the suit fit reasonably well, and Mrs. Hernandez had pressed it to perfection. Very handsome, she approved. This CEO lady will be impressed. Victor kissed Lily goodbye, enduring her giggles about his date clothes, and drove to the restaurant Emma had chosen, Riverside, the most upscale establishment in town, where he'd never set foot. Emma was already seated when he arrived, wearing a deep green dress that made her eyes shine like emeralds. Her blonde hair, usually pulled back for work, fell in soft waves around her shoulders. You look lovely, Victor said as he sat down, surprising himself with his directness. Thank you. You clean up rather nicely yourself, Emma smiled, though I'm guessing that suit doesn't see much use. Is it that obvious? Only to someone who pays attention. She tilted her head. Have you thought about the offer? I have. Victor took a breath. Before I answer, I need to know something. Why me, really? There must be dozens of more qualified candidates. Emma considered him for a moment. The truth. When I saw you go back into that building while everyone else was running away, I saw someone with integrity and courage. When I watched you handle that gas leak with such competence, I saw someone with skills. And when I researched your background, I saw someone who's been underutilized and undervalued. She leaned forward. Camden Manufacturing needs people like you, Victor. People who don't just do the minimum required, but who take initiative when they see a problem. Her sincerity was unmistakable, and Victor found himself believing her. In that case, I'd be honored to accept the position. Emma's smile was radiant. Excellent. We'll start the transition on Monday. As dinner progressed, their conversation shifted from business to personal matters. Victor found himself talking about Jenny, about the struggle of raising Lily alone while working multiple jobs, about his dreams of someday finishing his engineering degree. Emma shared her own story, how she'd taken over Fitzgerald Industries after her father's stroke 5 years ago, the challenges of being a female CEO in a male-dominated industry, and her recent move back to her hometown to be closer to her sister's family. My niece Clara is the reason I was at the school that day, she explained. My sister had a doctor's appointment, so I was picking Clara up. I never expected to witness a hero in action. Victor shook his head. I'm no hero, just someone who knew what to do. That's precisely what makes you heroic, knowledge and action when others would hesitate. Emma's eyes held his. It's an attractive quality. The dinner stretched into dessert, then coffee, neither seeming eager to end the evening. When they finally left the restaurant, Victor walked Emma to her car. "Thank you for dinner," he said. "It's been a long time since I enjoyed an evening out like this." Emma studied him in the soft glow of the parking lot lights. "Would it be inappropriate to say I'd like to do it again?" "Not as your future boss, but as someone who enjoys your company." Victor's heart raced unexpectedly. "What about the company policy on workplace relationships?" Emma laughed softly. "One advantage of being CEO, I make the policies, but if you're concerned, we could keep things professional at work. And outside of work, that would be up to us to decide." She stepped closer. "What do you think, Victor?" Instead of answering with words, Victor surprised himself by leaning down and kissing her gently. Emma responded immediately, her hand coming up to rest against his chest. When they parted, Victor felt lighter than he had in years. "I think I'd like to see where this goes." "Good answer." Emma smiled up at him. "Very good answer indeed." The weeks that followed brought changes Victor could hardly have imagined. His new position at Camden Manufacturing proved challenging but deeply satisfying. For the first time in years, he was using his full range of skills, implementing systems that made the plant safer and more efficient. His relationship with Emma developed cautiously but steadily. At work, they maintained a strictly professional dynamic, but evenings and weekends often found them together, sometimes with Lily, sometimes alone. Emma fit seamlessly into their lives. She took genuine interest in Lily's stories and artwork, never patronizing or distant. And for Victor, she became not just a romantic partner, but a friend who understood his drive to provide for his daughter while also pursuing his own ambitions. 1 month after their first date, Emma helped Victor move out of the garage apartment into a modest but comfortable house with a yard where Lily could play. Mrs. Hernandez cried at their departure, but was appeased by Victor's promise that she would always be part of their family. "You've changed our lives," Victor told Emma that night as they sat on the porch of his new home, watching Lily chase fireflies in the twilight. Emma leaned against his shoulder. "You changed your own lives. I just recognized what you were capable of. Still, I never expected any of this when I walked into that utility room." "Life's funny that way." Emma's hand found his. "The best things often happen when we're just doing what needs to be done." As summer turned to fall, Victor enrolled in evening engineering classes, finishing the degree he'd abandoned when Jenny got sick. Emma supported his studies, sometimes quizzing him on material or watching Lily when he needed to study late. Their relationship deepened, weathering the occasional storm, like the day Victor overheard plant workers suggesting he'd slept his way into his promotion, or the time Emma's board members questioned her involvement with an employee. Each challenge only strengthened their bond. By Christmas, Victor knew he wanted Emma in his life permanently. With Lily's enthusiastic help, he planned a proposal for Christmas Eve. The evening was perfect, their new home decorated with twinkling lights, a fire crackling in the fireplace, and Lily barely containing her excitement about the special surprise. After dinner, as they sat in front of the tree, Victor nodded to Lily, who solemnly handed Emma a small package. "What's this?" Emma asked, carefully unwrapping the gift. Inside was a handmade book, clearly crafted by Lily, titled "Why You Should Marry My Daddy." Each page contained a crayon drawing and wobbly handwritten reasons. "He fixes everything. He makes good pancakes. He loves you lots." Emma's eyes filled with tears as she turned the pages. On the final page was taped a small velvet box. She looked up to find Victor kneeling beside her. "Emma Fitzgerald, you came into our lives unexpectedly and filled them with joy. You believed in me when I'd stopped believing in myself. You've embraced Lily as if she were your own." He opened the box, revealing a modest but elegant diamond ring. "Will you marry us?" Emma's laugh was watery as she pulled him close. "Yes, absolutely yes." Lily erupted into cheers, dancing around them. "I'm getting a mom for Christmas." Emma pulled the little girl into their embrace. "And I'm getting the family I always wanted." Their wedding the following spring was small but perfect. Jake served as best man, while Emma's sister and niece Clara stood up for her. Lily proudly carried the rings, taking her role as flower ring girl with utmost seriousness. Mrs. Hernandez cried through the entire ceremony, then danced with such enthusiasm at the reception that she charmed everyone present. As Victor and Emma swayed together for their first dance, he marveled at the journey that had brought them to this moment. "What are you thinking?" Emma asked, noticing his expression. "That I'm the luckiest man alive, all because of a gas leak," Emma laughed. "I'm pretty sure it was your response to the gas leak, not the leak itself, that got us here. Either way, I'm grateful." He pulled her closer. "I love you, Emma Sullivan. I love you too, Victor Fitzgerald Sullivan." She smiled at his raised eyebrow. "What? I thought we agreed to hyphenate." "Best of both worlds. As long as I have you and Lily, you can call me whatever you want." 1 year after their wedding, Victor completed his engineering degree with honors. Emma surprised him at graduation with news that Camden Manufacturing was launching an innovation division with Victor as its director. "Are you sure?" he asked. "People will talk. Let them. Your designs speak for themselves." She squeezed his hand. "Besides, I have more important news." Victor looked at her questioningly. Emma placed his hand on her still flat stomach. "Lily's going to be a big sister." The joy that flooded through Victor was indescribable. That night, when they told Lily about the baby, her excitement confirmed they were truly becoming the family they all desired. As their family grew first with twins, a boy and girl they named James and Jenny, Victor often reflected on how drastically his life had changed since that fateful day at Oak Ridge Elementary. 5 years after they met, Victor and Emma sat on the porch of their home, watching their children play in the yard. Lily, now 11, was teaching the 4-year-old twins how to catch fireflies, her patience remarkable for a child her age. "Do you ever think about how different our lives might be if I hadn't been at the school that day?" Emma asked, her head resting on Victor's shoulder. "Sometimes." Victor wrapped his arm around her. "But then I remember something my grandfather used to say. Life puts you where you need to be. Wisdom is recognizing why you're there. Your grandfather was a wise man. He would have loved you." Victor kissed the top of her head. "Almost as much as I do." Emma's company continued to thrive under her leadership, expanding into sustainable energy solutions based partly on innovations from Victor's division. Their work partnership proved as successful as their personal one, each complementing the other's strengths. They established a scholarship fund for students from Oak Ridge Elementary pursuing careers in engineering or business, particularly those from single-parent households. The Sullivan Fitzgerald Scholarship became a source of pride for the community and helped dozens of children achieve their dreams. On the 10th anniversary of their meeting, Victor took Emma back to Oak Ridge Elementary, now renovated and featuring state-of-the-art safety systems, many designed by Victor himself. Standing in the hallway outside the former utility room, Victor took Emma's hands in his. 10 years ago, I walked into this room just trying to protect my daughter and her classmates. I had no idea I was walking toward the rest of my life." Emma's eyes shimmered with tears. "When I saw you that day so capable, so determined, I knew you were someone special. I just didn't know you'd become my everything. The gas leak that brought us together." "No," Emma corrected gently. "The courage that brought us together, your willingness to step up when others stepped away." As they left the school hand in hand, Victor realized they had both been right. Sometimes disasters create opportunities. Sometimes heroes find love. And sometimes, a struggling dad fixing a gas leak while others fled could indeed win the heart of a CEO who saw his true worth. Their story wasn't conventional, but it was theirs a testament to the unexpected ways love finds us when we're simply doing what needs to be done. And for Victor and Emma Sullivan Fitzgerald, that was more than enough. It was everything.